Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about something powerful today, something that will shift the way you see relationships. Men need absence to know you're the one. Let that sink in. See, we live in a world that celebrates constant availability, but let me tell you something. You don't become valuable by always being there. You become valuable when your presence is meaningful. And that only happens when a man understands what it's like without you. Now, I'm not telling you to play games, ghost someone, or create unnecessary drama. That's not what we're about. What I'm saying is scarcity creates value. Think about the most expensive diamonds, the rarest paintings, the greatest inventions. They're valuable because they're not everywhere. They take time, effort, and discipline to attain. You should be the same. Men are wired for the chase. It's in their DNA. If something is always there, always giving, always saying, I'll wait for you, then the mind stops appreciating it. But the moment it's gone, that's when realization kicks in. And here's the truth. You don't want a man who just likes you. You want a man who values you. And that happens when he has to choose you, not because you're always available, but because he feels your absence and realizes, I can't lose her. Absence is not about manipulation, it's about revelation. It reveals who is willing to step up, who is willing to fight for you, who sees your worth, not just when you're in front of them, but even when you're gone. And let's flip the script, because this isn't just about men, this is about you. You need that space too. You need that distance to grow, to reflect, to know if he's the one for you. Because when you're always wrapped up in someone else's world, you forget the most important person, yourself. So here's my challenge for you. Don't fear absence, use it. Use it to create clarity. Use it to build respect. Use it to attract a man who knows, beyond any doubt, that you're the one. Because a man who truly values you will never let your absence be permanent. He will make sure your presence stays in his life. Thank you. Scarcity creates value. This principle isn't just about relationships, it's a fundamental truth in life. The rarest gems are the most expensive. The most exclusive experiences hold the highest demand. The most difficult goals to achieve bring the greatest satisfaction. And the same psychology applies when it comes to human relationships. When something is constantly available, it becomes easy to take for granted. Think about the air you breathe. It's always there, so you rarely stop to appreciate it until you're gasping for it after holding your breath. That's exactly how the human mind works. We only deeply recognize the importance of something when we experience its absence. In relationships, when a woman is always present, always saying yes, always proving herself, a man doesn't have the space to realize what she truly means to him. He may enjoy her company, appreciate her kindness, and even care for her, but the deep emotional recognition of her value only happens when there's a possibility of losing her. It's not because he doesn't love or respect her. It's because human nature dictates that we assess value in contrast. Think about your own life. Have you ever had something you didn't fully appreciate until it was gone? A childhood home, a friendship, an opportunity you let slip away? We all have. That feeling of loss triggers a realization of worth. And in relationships, it forces a man to reflect on what he truly feels. Scarcity doesn't mean manipulation or game playing. It's not about making someone jealous or punishing them with silence. It's about allowing natural emotions to take their course. When you are always available, always giving, always showing up, the relationship lacks polarity. It lacks the space necessary for desire, longing, and realization to develop. But when you create a dynamic where your presence is meaningful and not just routine, the other person has to become intentional about how they treat you. Men are wired to chase, to pursue, to conquer. It's part of their psychology. If something comes too easily, it doesn't engage their deepest instincts. But if a man senses that you are a woman of value, a woman who doesn't need to over-explain her worth, but simply is, you will naturally step up to meet the challenge. And that challenge isn't about making things hard for him. It's about making sure he truly wants what he's getting. Women often make the mistake of thinking that giving more means receiving more. That if they constantly show love, prove loyalty, and demonstrate patience, a man will suddenly realize how amazing they are. But in reality, this often has the opposite effect. It breeds complacency. It teaches him that you'll always be there, no matter how he shows up. And when there's no fear of loss, there's no urgency to act. The right kind of absence creates appreciation. When you step back, when you prioritize your own growth, when you don't make yourself overly accessible, a man has to sit with his own emotions. He has to ask himself, do I miss her? Do I want her in my life? Is she someone I'm willing to fight for? And those are the questions that lead to real commitment. But the biggest secret here, this isn't just about making him realize your worth. It's about making sure you realize your own worth. When you create space, you also give yourself clarity. You see whether he truly values you, and more importantly, you see whether he aligns with what you want in life. Absence isn't about playing mind games. It's about creating value. And a woman who understands this isn't desperate for attention. She commands respect. The power of space in a relationship is often misunderstood. Many people believe that closeness, constant communication, and always being present are what creates strong bonds. While connection is crucial, true depth in a relationship comes when there is room for both individuals to breathe, think, and grow independently. Space isn't about detachment. It's about allowing emotions, desires, and realizations to unfold naturally. When a man has too much of anything, he stops noticing its importance. It's human nature. If someone is always there, always responding, always available, there's no need for him to reflect on how much he values that person. It's not because he doesn't care, it's because he hasn't had the space to miss them. Think about your favorite song. When you listen to it on repeat every single day, it loses its magic. But when you take a break and come back to it, you appreciate every note, every lyric, every beat. That's the effect space creates in relationships. Men process emotions differently than women. While women often work through their feelings by talking and engaging, men tend to process in silence. They need time away to truly understand what they feel. When a woman is constantly present, a man might enjoy her company, but he isn't being given the opportunity to recognize why he enjoys it. He isn't being allowed to experience what life feels like without her, which is crucial for long-term appreciation. When space is given in the right way, it doesn't push a man away, it pulls him in. It creates curiosity, anticipation, and a natural pull toward the relationship. He starts wondering what she's doing, what she's thinking, and whether she's missing him. This isn't about manipulation. It's about allowing the relationship to breathe. When two people are constantly in each other's space, there's no room for excitement, no room for longing, and no room for genuine appreciation to develop. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is assuming that closeness always equals connection. But true connection isn't about being physically close all the time. It's about emotional depth. And emotional depth requires moments of separation. When two people spend time apart, they get to reflect, to grow as individuals, and to come back to each other with fresh energy, new perspectives, and a deeper sense of commitment. Many women fear space because they equate it with losing control. They worry that if they step back, the man might drift away or lose interest. But the truth is, if a man loses interest because you gave him space, he was never truly invested to begin with. A man who genuinely values you will use that space to recognize your worth, not to replace you. He will feel your absence and want to close the distance himself. And that's exactly what you want, a man who chooses you, not out of habit or convenience, but out of genuine desire. There's also a personal side to space. It's not just about what it does for him, it's about what it does for you. When you create space, you allow yourself to grow. You focus on your passions, your ambitions, your happiness. You become a woman who is fulfilled, independent, and confident. And ironically, that makes you even more attractive. Nothing is more powerful than a woman who isn't afraid to be on her own, who doesn't need a man's presence to feel whole. Space in a relationship isn't a threat. It's an asset. It allows both partners to grow, to reflect, and to appreciate each other on a deeper level. When done right, it strengthens the foundation of the relationship, creating a dynamic where both individuals feel valued, desired, and truly connected. Men are wired for the chase. It's built into their psychology, their instincts, and even their biology. Throughout history, men have been hunters, providers, and warriors. They thrive on challenge, competition, and the pursuit of something they perceive as valuable. This fundamental trait extends into relationships as well. When a man has to work for something, he values it more. When something comes too easily, it loses its appeal. This isn't about playing hard to get or engaging in manipulative tactics. It's about understanding that men find meaning in the effort they put into something. Think about any major accomplishment in life. Earning a degree, landing a dream job, building a business. The struggle to achieve it is what makes it worthwhile. The same logic applies in relationships. A man needs to feel like he has earned a woman's attention, respect, and love. If everything is handed to him without any effort, he may enjoy it temporarily, but he won't feel deeply connected to it. When a woman is always available, always accommodating, and always prioritizing a man over herself, she removes the very dynamic that sparks deep emotional investment. He may appreciate her kindness, but appreciation is not the same as desire. Desire is fueled by anticipation, by a sense of mystery, by knowing that he has to put in effort to win and keep her. When a woman understands this, she doesn't chase. She positions herself in a way that naturally invites a man to pursue her. Men are drawn to women who have their own lives, their own goals, and their own sense of purpose. Why? Because a woman who isn't solely focused on a man is inherently more intriguing. She doesn't need him to feel fulfilled, which makes her presence feel like a privilege, not an obligation. When a woman is too eager to please, too quick to adjust her life for a man, she unknowingly removes the very challenge that would make him invest in her. He doesn't have to earn her time, her energy, or her attention. It's just there, readily available, and therefore easy to take for granted. This isn't to say that relationships should be a constant game of distance and pursuit. A healthy relationship is built on mutual respect, understanding, and effort from both sides. However, the initial stages of attraction, and even long-term dynamics, thrive when a man feels that he has a role to play. He wants to feel like he's winning something valuable, not just receiving it passively. Many women mistakenly believe that if they don't constantly show a man their affection, availability, and commitment, he will lose interest. But the truth is, when a man has to work for a woman's attention, he becomes more emotionally engaged. He starts to value her presence because he knows it's not something he can take lightly. He has to step up, be consistent, and put in effort. Otherwise, he risks losing her. And that realization triggers a deeper level of commitment. Men fall in love through investment. The more effort they put into a relationship, the more emotionally attached they become. If a man is not investing, if he is not putting in energy, time, or thought into the relationship, it's a sign that he doesn't truly value it. Women who understand this don't overgive or overcompensate. They allow the man to step up, to prove himself, and to show that he genuinely wants to be there. A woman who understands a man's need for the chase is not cold or distant. She is confident, she knows her worth, and she allows a man to rise to meet her standards. She doesn't fear losing him because she knows that the right man wants the challenge. He wants to pursue. He wants to feel like he has earned a place in her life. And when a man feels that, his attraction and commitment deepen in a way that is natural, lasting, and undeniable. Absence sparks emotional investment because it forces reflection. When something or someone is always present, the human mind tends to become accustomed to it. This is not out of malice or neglect, but simply a function of how the brain operates. People do not usually stop to think about the things they experience every day until those things are no longer there. This is why distance plays such a crucial role in relationships. When a person is absent, their presence is no longer something to be taken for granted. Instead, their value is placed under a spotlight, forcing the other person to reflect on what they truly feel. Men in particular often process emotions differently than women. While women tend to analyze feelings in real time, discussing them and working through them through conversation, men are more likely to process emotions internally. They may not immediately recognize what they feel when they are with someone, but they will recognize what they feel when that person is no longer around. This is why absence is so powerful. It creates a space where a man has to sit with his own emotions without external influence. He begins to notice the small things, the way she made him feel, the energy she brought into his life, the way he misses her presence. These realizations create a stronger emotional connection than anything words could ever achieve. Many women make the mistake of assuming that the more they give, the more a man will appreciate them. While generosity and kindness are important in any relationship, there is a fine line between giving in a way that builds connection and giving in a way that breeds complacency. If a woman is always available, always initiating conversations, always putting in the effort, then a man never has to question whether he values her. He simply assumes she will always be there. There is no urgency, no necessity for him to reflect, and therefore no deeper emotional investment being created. Absence creates a gap that a man must either choose to fill or choose to ignore. And that choice is revealing. When a man truly cares, he will notice the absence and take action. He will seek to reconnect, to close the distance, to reaffirm his commitment. If he does not, it is not a reflection of the woman's worth, it is a reflection of where he stands emotionally. This is why stepping back can be one of the most powerful moves a woman can make. It allows her to see whether the man she is interested in is genuinely invested or merely enjoying convenience. This does not mean playing games or creating unnecessary distance just for the sake of it. The goal is not to manipulate, but to allow a natural process to take place. When someone is always within reach, their value is assumed rather than consciously recognized. But when they are absent, even for a short time, their presence must be acknowledged in a more intentional way. This is how deeper emotional bonds are formed, not through constant reassurance, but through the realization of importance that comes with time and space. For a relationship to thrive, both partners must feel emotionally invested. And investment does not come from excess availability. It comes from moments of uncertainty, from the recognition that someone matters enough to be missed. When a woman understands this, she does not fear absence. She embraces it as a tool for clarity. She allows the man to come to his own conclusions, to feel his own emotions, and to make his own decisions. And in doing so, she ensures that when he chooses her, he does so with full awareness of her value, rather than as a default response to familiarity. The deepest connections are not formed in the moments of presence alone, but in the moments where absence creates the space for appreciation. When a man feels the loss of someone's presence, he understands what she truly means to him, and that understanding is what transforms interest into genuine emotional investment. You teach people how to treat you by the way you carry yourself, the boundaries you set, and the standards you uphold. In relationships, this principle is crucial because it determines the level of respect, effort, and commitment you receive. If you consistently overextend yourself, always say yes, and tolerate behaviors that don't align with your values, you communicate that this treatment is acceptable. People, whether consciously or unconsciously, will respond to the standards you set. Respect is not demanded, it is cultivated through the way you show up in your relationships. When a woman gives endlessly without expectation, it might seem like an act of love, but it often leads to being taken for granted. If she constantly makes herself available, forgives without consequence, or prioritizes a man over her own well-being, she sends a message that she will accept whatever is given to her. Not because the man is necessarily malicious, but because there is no reason for him to change his behavior when there are no consequences for neglect or complacency. Setting boundaries is one of the most powerful ways to teach others how to treat you. A boundary is not a punishment, it is a declaration of self-respect. It tells the other person, this is what I accept, and this is what I will not tolerate. When you establish boundaries, you create a dynamic where someone must rise to meet your standards rather than assuming you will lower yours to accommodate them. This creates balance, respect, and mutual appreciation rather than a one-sided effort where only one person is giving. The way you respond to behavior also plays a major role in setting the tone for a relationship. If you ignore red flags, make excuses for inconsiderate actions, or allow someone to repeatedly disappoint you without addressing it, you teach them that they do not have to put in real effort to keep you. Conversely, when you communicate your needs clearly and show that you are willing to walk away from situations that do not align with your values, you establish that your presence is a privilege, not an entitlement. Confidence in your own worth is the foundation of how others perceive and treat you. A woman who knows her value does not fear losing someone because she understands that the right person will respect, appreciate, and cherish her presence. She does not beg for attention, overcompensate to keep someone interested, or settle for less than what she deserves. Instead, she allows her actions to communicate her standards, knowing that the right people will recognize and honor them. This applies not only to romantic relationships, but to all aspects of life, in friendships, in business, in family dynamics. People learn how to engage with you based on what you accept and what you reject. If you constantly make yourself available to people who only reach out when they need something, they will continue to treat you as an option rather than a priority. If you lower your standards to keep the peace, you teach others that your boundaries are flexible and that your needs come second. The most important relationship you will ever have is the one with yourself. When you respect yourself, others follow suit. If you hold yourself to high standards, you will naturally attract people who respect and appreciate you at that level. And when someone does not meet those standards, you will have the strength and self-awareness to walk away rather than trying to convince them to treat you better. People will only value you as much as you value yourself. If you allow yourself to be treated as an afterthought, that is how you will be seen. But when you carry yourself with confidence, self-respect, and clear boundaries, you create a dynamic where others must step up to meet you at your level. You set the tone for how you are treated, and the right people will recognize and honor that. Self-worth is the foundation of any strong relationship. The way you see yourself influences the way others see you. When you truly understand your value, you don't seek external validation because you already know your worth. You don't need constant reassurance from a man to feel secure because your confidence comes from within. This internal strength changes the entire dynamic of a relationship. Instead of trying to prove your worth to someone, you allow them to recognize it on their own. And when they do, the bond that forms is based on genuine respect and admiration, not on desperation or insecurity. Many women fall into the trap of believing that if they do more, give more, and make themselves indispensable, a man will finally see their value. But real value doesn't come from overextending yourself to please someone else. It comes from knowing that you are enough exactly as you are. When you chase someone, you are telling them, I need you to see me as valuable, but when you stand firm in your self-worth, you send a different message. I know I'm valuable, and it's up to you to appreciate that. This shift in mindset changes everything. A woman who knows her worth operates from a place of confidence rather than fear. She doesn't fear losing a man because she understands that the right person will recognize and cherish her presence. She doesn't settle for breadcrumbs of affection or inconsistent effort because she knows she deserves full commitment. She doesn't tolerate disrespect because she understands that respect is not something you beg for, it's something you command by the way you carry yourself. This is the kind of woman a man respects, admires, and commits to fully. Men are naturally drawn to confidence. It's not about arrogance or ego. It's about the quiet, unshakable belief in yourself. A woman who radiates self-worth doesn't feel the need to prove anything. She doesn't over-explain, over-give, or overstay in situations that don't serve her. She simply is. And that presence alone is magnetic. She moves through life with the understanding that she brings value to any relationship, and she expects to be treated accordingly. When a woman lacks self-worth, she often finds herself in cycles of trying to convince a man to choose her. She accepts less than she deserves because she fears that asking for more will push him away. But the truth is, a man who is truly interested will not be scared off by high standards. He will be motivated to meet them. And a man who is unwilling to step up was never the right one to begin with. The key is to have the courage to stand in your worth, even when it means walking away from someone who doesn't see it. True self-worth also means that you are whole on your own. You don't rely on a relationship to define your happiness. You cultivate a fulfilling life outside of romance, pursuing your passions, growing as a person, and surrounding yourself with people who uplift you. This not only makes you more attractive, but also ensures that any relationship you enter is a choice, not a necessity. You are with someone because you want to be, not because you need to be. That distinction is powerful. A woman who knows her worth is not easily shaken. She doesn't react out of fear or insecurity. She doesn't beg for attention or force love where it isn't freely given. Instead, she carries herself with the quiet confidence of someone who knows she brings value to the table. And because of that, she naturally attracts people who respect, cherish, and appreciate her. When you operate from self-worth, you don't chase, you attract. You don't convince, you allow. You don't beg, you walk away when necessary. And in doing so, you create a relationship dynamic that is built on mutual respect, deep appreciation, and real, lasting connection. At the core of every strong relationship is a foundation of self-worth, respect, and emotional investment. A man cannot fully appreciate your presence if he has never experienced your absence. He cannot value what comes too easily, nor can he feel a deep sense of commitment if he has never had to put in effort to earn it. When you understand this, you stop overgiving, over-explaining, and overcompensating in relationships. Instead, you allow space for a man to reflect, to pursue, and to recognize your value on his own. Absence is not about manipulation. It is about clarity. It gives a man the opportunity to feel your impact, to understand what you bring into his life, and to step up if he truly values you. When you hold yourself to high standards, set boundaries, and refuse to settle for less than you deserve, you naturally attract the right kind of commitment. The right man will not be deterred by your self-respect. He will be drawn to it. You teach people how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. When you carry yourself with confidence, prioritize your own happiness, and understand that your worth is not dependent on anyone else's validation, you shift the entire dynamic of your relationships. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop proving and start allowing. And in doing so, you ensure that when a man chooses you, he does so not out of convenience, but out of deep, undeniable recognition of your value. Real love is not about convincing someone to stay. It is about being so secure in yourself that the right person never wants to leave.